All right, so the Z Fold 2. We did talk about that a little bit in our last video. What was it? Last wordcast or the one before? I can't remember which when we talked about. Uh,
I don't remember the last word cast that
I don't
well,
know.
so
Yeah, we talked about it as a product and like some of the features and some of the specs about it's running the Snapdragon 865 and all that kind of stuff. But now we have a price and some more interesting information on it, and you probably don't want to buy one even if you have all of the monies.
yeah. So let's talk about this. So it's $2,000, which is only like $20 more than the last one. So whatever on that.
Not surprising there yet. That
Yeah.
was what people were guessing.
Its external display is much better. It's a 6.2 inch with a hole punch 10 megapixel camera. It's actually like a decent looking phone when it's closed now. Fantastic
Yes.
news. That's
Yeah.
one of my biggest complaints of the first gen.
The first gen just looks stupid. Like you would never want to use it as a
It looked
closed
like
device.
a dev device.
It did, yeah, yeah. Which was kind of the intent to an extent, I guess. But,
Yeah, similar to how
yeah.
Nvidia dropped the RTX series first to get, you had to get some consumers on board so that you
Yeah.
could get some developers on board to start making apps. So I get that. Um, but at least the RTX series was like somewhat functional. This just literally looked like a stupid product.
It was basically a
Um,
big notification menu.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but this is essentially, it looks like a fairly decent 6.2 inch displayed phone. So
yeah, yeah.
that's
Like
great.
it's got the bezels are a little weird, but like other than that, it looks mostly normal.
Yeah. And then the internal display is 7.6 inches. We'll talk about some other aspects of it more in a second. I want to go through all the good
Yeah.
stuff first. Um, uh, it's got 5 cameras, which I guess can be a good thing. So it's got one on the external display via a hole punch camera, one on the internal display via a hole punch camera. I believe both of those are 10 megapixels. And then it's got
So it's not
three.
a notch for the internal display anymore. Then for that.
Correct.
That's nice. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
I hadn't even paid attention to that before.
Yeah, I believe it's just a hole punch now.
Very nice. Okay.
It's got 3 cameras on the back, which are, I believe, all 12 megapixels. They're just all different 12 megapixel cameras.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. No, that's correct. They're all 12 megapixels. I remember hearing about that, which is, I don't know. I don't know that the 3 on the back is the part where I'm kind of like, I don't know if it needs.
Yeah, I mean,
those, but
especially
doesn't
if
have,
they're
like-
all the same resolution. Like, personally, I'm
yeah,
kind of
no super
over.
zoom or anything.
Well, I mean, even then, like, because I'm sure one of them is a 12 megapixel zoomed in camera.
Yeah, but
But like, personally for me, I would rather have a macro camera than a super zoom camera.
yeah, I agree. Although the macro cameras that most phones have had have been complete ass, just
Yeah.
like garbage macro cameras. I'd like to see a high end company like Samsung do a nice one.
You know what I want to see? And I haven't seen this in a long time, but it used to exist. The
Mhm.
OnePlus One, its normal camera was able to focus really close. I
Yeah,
was
that
able to
would be
take
nice.
some good looking, like, almost macro distance shots, like much
OnePlus
better.
is kind of stuck with that actually. My 7T McLaren does a pretty good job. Not as good as some of the older ones, but it does
Yeah,
a pretty
I felt
great
like
job.
the
It's
the
super
OnePlus
close.
One to the OnePlus Two though, it kind of
Mhm.
dropped off. I don't know what it was with that camera, but like whatever sensor they used just could focus much closer.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was
Um,
pretty capable, and even just eyeballing it with my iPhone, like the McLaren does focus way closer. So
yeah,
I would like to see another phone do that. I agree.
yeah. So that's cool. And then there's actually some really cool features as far as how the camera works.
Yeah,
So oh, one other thing actually I have to mention as far as the internal hole punch displayed camera goes. I think they put it in a stupid spot.
I
They
agree.
put
It
it
doesn't look good.
They put it in the center above one side of the screen. In my opinion, what they should have done is put it on the actual side of the screen, or they should have just changed the bezels. Because, like, essentially, one of the cool things that you can do with this phone is fold it like 90 degrees and have it like laptop esque.
Yeah,
And it would be like having your laptop camera over here.
yeah,
Over, like,
which
off
is
to the
exactly
side.
the experience. Like that is probably the only complaint I have about using the iPad Pro as a laptop is when I'm doing
Mhm.
video calls on it. I have to sit off center to look normal.
Yeah. And especially, like, I think it makes more sense on this than it does on the iPad because like there's multiple orientations that it's commonly used in this. I think the
Yeah.
iPad has moved more towards being consistently horizontal,
Yeah, yeah,
and
no,
so I think they
absolutely.
need to shift the cameras now.
Yeah, I agree. You know, they need to make a folding camera, put it put it in the fold.
I mean, look, that'd be pretty cool.
It
No,
actually would be pretty
if
cool.
anything, they should get rid of one of the cameras on the back, add in another camera on the inside, and then get the tech that allows the camera to be under the display so you can't actually see it.
Yes, yes, and then
Then
have
you
two
can
of them in
have,
different positions.
yeah, so that no
Yeah,
matter which orientation you're doing your video chat, it looks good.
that would be really cool. You know what? Or they could just make the phone thicker and add in a flip up for the rear camera system. So you've got the fold phone, and then the camera folds out from the back of the fold.
I hate you.
Dude, it would be actually kind of awesome.
Hey, if they did that, but they got rid of the camera bump, maybe.
Okay, yeah. And if they did that, I'd buy one. That would be enough where I'd be like, okay,
No.
I appreciate you guys.
No. But so back to the cool software features. So
yeah.
this form factor allows for a number of cool things that you can do with the camera when you build out the software. So one of the things that you can do is with the camera or with the phone in its like open state, if you're taking photos, you can have it so that the top half of the screen shows your viewfinder and the bottom half shows the most recently taken photo. And so what this allows is you can take a photo and then you can see the photo without needing to exit the camera. So if you need to take another photo, if you want to adjust the framing, or if the focus wasn't how you wanted it,
Yeah.
or anything like that, you can know that right away without looking at just like the small preview and without switching back and forth. So that's really cool. That's useful for people that do a lot of phone photography. The other really cool thing is that you can actually turn on the external display. So if you're taking a photo of a friend, for example, with your Z Fold 2, you can have it so that you can see the framing and they can see the framing. And so if you have it how you like it, but maybe they want an adjustment, then they can see that right there. You don't need to take the photo, then show them back and forth.
Yeah, it's you know, I like to see them using the dual screens for something rather than kind of single screening both sides. You know what I mean, right? Like we're actually seeing like a use case for having more than one. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
this
nice.
is something that takes advantage of Samsung's form factor in a way that you can't on something like Huawei's foldable form factor, which they
Or
don't
like
even
the
really.
Duo or something like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess the Duo, since it can go all the way around, you can kind of do it, but then you're only using, well, I guess you only use one display at a time, really, anyway. But the point is, yeah, like it's cool to see something specific to this form factor. I still personally really like Huawei's form factor design just because I like the idea of just, oh, it's a tablet in my pocket and it folds really, really flat. But of course, until we can get invincible foldable screens,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Personally,
like,
for
this
me,
is the one I'd buy if I were picking one.
yeah, I'm perfectly cool with this because my biggest complaint with the original foldable phone design from Samsung was just that the outer display looked like trash,
Yes.
and it wasn't really usable for much content. It was
No, not at all. Yeah.
it was a notification and a phone call window, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Even the
So
UI,
this is a lot better.
yeah, even the UI wasn't really like an Android phone UI. It was a couple of dots.
Yeah. It was pretty
So-
dumb. Whereas this is like you can use it folded up if you
Yeah.
want to, and which is great. Like if you're in an event where also you don't want to damage the screen, your hands are dirty or your nails are long for some day or something weird like that. You know, like you won't damage the phone because you can still use it as a normal phone.
Yeah, and I mean, like if I want to quickly bust out a text message, like that's
Yeah, like there's no reason to unfold it.
not even quickly busting out a text message. That is just a better form factor for texting for most people.
Yeah, it is, and I mean, I think maybe the folded out version is narrow enough if you have larger hands like mine. Like
Well,
then
this
if your
phone is
thumbs can
wider.
reach,
This
but
phone is wider.
it is wider. Yeah, so and that's actually one of the things is it looks like they have a pretty good designed split keyboard layout. So I might actually prefer typing on that with a slightly better spacing, but you know, I like bigger phones primarily because I like to type. But it's still cool to see the front display being really capable of just doing normal phone stuff.
Yeah. And then let's talk about some of the less good things. So, That fantastic 7.6-inch internal display that can run at 2208 by 1768 resolution can also run at 120 hertz. Now you're wondering why I say this as a bad thing, because you can only run it at 120 hertz if you drop it to the 1080p equivalent.
Why? I don't understand why they would do this. It's just like, I'm so disappointed. Like, I was disappointed with the Note not doing it and the S20 not doing it. I mean, the Note, especially the Note 20 Ultra, I'm like, excuse me? So, like, you couldn't make this work after, like, 7 months?
Yeah.
Okay. But not doing it on a $2,000 device? I don't... Commenters, if there is something we're missing here, if there's some hardware thing or something about Android that, from a developer perspective, why this is not possible, please let us know, because I can't find any reason why this would not be doable.
Yeah, I don't see how it could possibly be like a developer thing, because like this whole phone is reliant on new development.
Yeah. So like, it's got to either be hardware or what's most likely is them just being dumb and maybe trying to do it to like save battery, but like that's
But,
also
like,
dumb.
Give the person buying a $2,000 phone the choice.
Yeah, and even on the other ones too, like just give people the choice. Like if you want to default it, right, to like, you know, and like or just have a warning in the settings, right? Like you default it to like, you know, 1080p 120 hertz or something, and then in the settings you can change it to, you know, it's like, oh, you know, full resolution or you know, high speed or both, warning in red, this reduces your battery life. Like that's fine. But just do it. Or maybe it's an overheating issue with, but I can't imagine it's an overheating issue with the displays. And the
at that point, in my
A65 has no
opinion-
problem.
Yeah, and at that point, in my opinion, lower the resolution to the point where you can do 90 hertz at the maximum resolution. It shouldn't be that
yeah.
much. It shouldn't be that much of a resolution cut down, and it's still better than 60 hertz refresh rate.
Yeah, it's really stupid for them to be like it just makes the phone feel behind.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just behind because like the OnePlus 7T Pro, when did that come out? Release date October 2019. It's been a year. A year ago, OnePlus was putting 90 hertz on phones.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why Samsung seems to be the one having trouble with this.
Especially since, as we mentioned before we started recording this, Samsung is the one that makes their own displays. Not
Yeah.
many companies make their own displays.
Yeah, so I don't understand the reasoning behind this. And, like, you know, it's $2,000.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, maybe they should take some of the money that they're spending on their Samsung Premier service and put it into better hardware or drop the price.
Oh, man.
Because
yeah.
so this $2,000 phone includes some great features like on-demand concierge support, a special like founder's card that gives you access to like golf clubs or like golf resorts and stuff like that. It also gives you a one-time free Michelin star meal. And then the
okay.
one thing that does make perfect sense, and they should be including on all of the folds, is a one-time screen replacement. I think they should give you more than one because these screens will get damaged.
Yeah, I think it should be 2.
Yeah, but the rest of the Premiere service is like one of those weird things. Like I would get including it in their $3,200 like luxury stupid. I don't know why anyone would buy that ugly thing version of the phone.
Yeah.
For those that haven't seen it, this phone, like, even if you generally like the design, like with the stripe and the branding that it comes with, it's partnered with some like men's fashion brand. The camera bump cutting off part of the stripe really ruins some of the like luxury.
jarring.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, when the way that they're advertising this $3,200 variant of the phone is with like these like perfect like customly tailored men's suits. And then you pair it with something that looks so bad and so clearly not well thought out.
Yeah, it looks
Like,
like
it
they
just
just like,
doesn't
oh,
match.
slap a stripe on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would expect like much more from something that's being attached to like a luxury suit brand than
Yes.
your camera bump taking up part of one side of the stripe. If it was like across the middle where it looked like intentional, cool, that would look
Yeah,
good.
but this was just like an afterthought. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
bad.
They literally just like took the company they partnered with, like Stripe branding, slapped it in the middle of the phone, and ignored everything else.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Just
And then
why?
with this Premiere service, like, can't they just, like, you know, not charge as much for the phone?
They could, but they're not going to. My
It's
assumption.
like just
No,
charge
so-
like $1,800 for the phone.
So here's my assumption. They need to sell the phone at 2,000 still,
Hmm.
and they're just including this to get people on board so that they can get app developers on board. Like, this whole phone
Yeah.
is getting. It's about building the future of the foldable brand more than it is about the current product as a profitable item.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose so. And
Because
I
they
don't
didn't
know.
include the Premiere service in the base model of the previous Z Fold, but they did have the Premiere service for the luxury brand version of it and for the like the higher end version of the Z Flip, I believe.
Yeah.
And so I think they just see it as like one of those things that like let's be real. If I buy the Z Fold 2, I mean I'll take advantage of the free food because free expensive food.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna go to like a special like golf resort or whatever. Like if I want to play golf, I'm gonna go near my place where it's cheap and a
Yeah.
more chill environment. Unlike the only, and I'm not gonna take advantage of the on-demand concierge support crap.
Yeah.
So the only things I might take advantage of are the food and the one-time screen replacement because it should include that.
Yeah.
So like.
It's a little. Yeah.
It's one of those things I think that they just expect that most people that buy it won't take advantage of most of it. But it's one of those things that makes you think like, oh, I'm getting this cool luxury thing. Maybe I should get it. Maybe that justifies it. I'm not really going to use it, but
But
it's
maybe
cool.
it justifies it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um,
You know, like give me this phone with 120 or for $1,500 with 120 hertz display, I probably would be considering buying it.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to mention as far as the screen replacements, one other downside to this phone is that the folding screen does not support the S Pen. And my assumption as to why we are not seeing a Z Fold 2 support the S Pen properly is they don't want you to use a stylus on the plastic material of the screen
Yep.
because it will scratch and dent it.
Yep. So not you know it's still first gen. I would not want to buy it. You know
Yeah.
I don't know. It's
And like that to me that should show most people how not there yet the screen material is because Samsung controls the building of the S Pen. If they could easily enough, you would think that they would build a version of the S Pen specific to the Z Fold 2 that is less likely to damage the material of the screen.
yeah that's also true.
But the issue is that it's not about like material against material like it normally is. Normally,
Yeah.
you'd run into the issue of like if you built a diamond stylus, that would scratch a glass screen.
Yeah.
But the issue here isn't one type of material rubbing against another. It's not Mohs hardness or anything like that. It's just any amount of pressure on the type of plastic material they have to use for foldable screens.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's unfortunate, and it points to another one of those downsides, right? Where it's just like I don't know what they're gonna do to solve that, you know, or solve these. Like the only solution I can see in my head right now, because the laws of physics are a thing, is you know a blend where you have glass that blends into the folding plastic, just for the bezel part that actually needs to roll.
Yeah, I mean, like
but even
we're
that's
seeing,
difficult.
you know, I just don't know how far out the folding glass material is from being better. Because like the Z Flip uses the folding glass, but I don't think
Yeah.
the Z Fold 2 does. I haven't seen anything about glass being mentioned.
Yeah, no, I
No, it
no,
apparently does.
yeah,
It does.
they're claiming it, but it's not. I don't know. It's like glass infused. You know, it's different.
It's Samsung's glass though, whereas so like Samsung apparently can't make glass that can use a stylus.
Yeah, which is like, okay.
Hey, apparently the display can shift all the way down to 11 hertz. You just can't use 120
You
hertz
just can't.
above 1080p.
Dude, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. Like, I don't. Uh,
Yeah.